Hey you guys, what's up? Oh my goodness. So, I hope you guys are all doing well. It is trying to be summer here in the great Pacific Northwest, but it's like it gets warm for a week and then it gets cold for a week. And anyway, I've been fighting with the swimming pool. We have emptied the swimming pool, replaced all the sand in the filter uh, at least once. The pool is still incredibly cloudy. So now we're emptying the pool again, which is not an easy task, I have to say. It's like 10,000 gallons of water. So I've got like 3 hoses in there siphoning water out into the grass. And then, anyway, so that's what I've been doing. Okay, so, oh, and also, I just want to show you guys really quick what I made. So I follow this wonderful crochet artist on YouTube, Tina, I can't even say her last name, but her name is spelled Tinna, and then a super long last name. I think she's from Iceland. Anyway, she does mosaic crochet, and she's super, super inspiring and really fun to watch. Anyway, so she did a tutorial showing how to do a zippered pouch where you actually crochet directly onto the zipper, and I was like, oh yeah. Anyway, so I made this one last night, and this is another one this was my first one. So it's just so easy. It's like, if any of you guys are crocheters and you like little bags and stuff like that, watch her tutorial because it's super easy to do, and she's really easy to follow, and she goes exactly step by step. It's a 2-hour video, so I mean, it's like really detailed. But anyway, so she gives you really great guidance on how to do this. So, because if you've ever wanted to make like a little pouch and with a zipper, the hardest part is putting the zipper in. So this is great because you start with the zipper and then crochet down and then just seal up the bottom. Anyway, and she shows you this pattern, how to do this pattern right here. So anyway, I just wanted to show those to you guys because they're super fun, and I'm completely addicted to making them now. And I'm thinking it might be kind of fun to make some of these as journal pouches, like, you know, make them a little bigger, and so you could stick your journal in there, and then it would be pretty too. Anyway, so that's that. Okay, and then I watched a video of Carla's. I don't know how old the video is because you know how YouTube just kind of plays when you have it on autoplay. So I was watching one of her recent videos, a flip through, and it went into another flip through, and so I don't know how old the video was, but in the video she showed how she did like an extended spine on one of her journals that was inspired by another YouTuber. And so I wanted to make sure and credit the person that she was inspired by, and so I went and watched her video just, you know, to see what she did. And so it's RubyandPearlxo is the name of the channel. So and she's on YouTube. I'll leave a link to her video in the description on this video. And she has her own way of doing it. I did get some ideas from her, but I kind of had my own sort of thought process about how I thought I would do it. And so I did draw some information from her. She does really beautiful sort of like Victorian vintage style junk journals. So anyway, go check out her channel also. So here's the thing is I've got a gazillion books that I've been just sticking on the bookshelf that have really thin spines. Okay, like I don't want to just gut the book and make it into a journal because it's just, I don't know, it's like it's just not worth doing it, you know, if it's only going to hold one signature. So plus a lot of these I want to save the spines. Okay, so I pulled out, oh my god, you guys, I literally pulled about 35 books off of my shelf that I want to do this. I want to do this too. So some of them are a little thicker, some oh, and of course they're all different sizes too. But so like these ones, see how narrow they are? And I just love the spines. And so I don't know. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to expand those spines and make them thicker so that I can make these into journals and make it worth the effort and all of that. So I've done a couple already, and I think I know how I'm going to do the rest of these, but I thought I would do a video and just kind of show you guys how I'm going to do it and what seems to be working for me. So some of these books are bound in different ways. Okay, so a lot of old textbooks are bound really well. Like they're very, very sturdy, and sometimes they're really hard to take apart unless you know the tricks. So I'm going to show you how I got these school books that have the stitching that goes right through the pages. And then also, you know, some just regular, you know, spines where they're not stitched through the pages. Anyway, so let's start with one of these, and we'll just work on this book. Okay. Well, you guys know how to gut a regular book. I mean, you know how to do that. You just kind of cut down through here, and then you cut down. I've done videos showing how I gut books, so it's the same. Anyway, but these are sometimes a little bit more difficult, and people are sort of intimidated by them. So basically, what I do is I open the book up to the center, somewhere in the center. Doesn't have to be exactly. And then if you really push down, you can see where that twine goes through. It's a really heavy cotton string that they've used to bind these. So basically I just take a really sharp X-Acto blade and I just cut each of those strings. Okay, and you have to use a little bit of pressure. Got to put your back into it and cut through those strings. Now there's also a staple in there, so one towards the top somewhere and one towards the bottom. So if you're not able to cut all the way down, don't force it, because you'll be trying to cut through a staple, and you obviously aren't going to be able to do that. But anyway, so that's kind of how I do it. And then I take the book, kind of just stretch it as much as I can, and then take the back and literally just pull those strings out. See how they're all cut now? And then I hold this part and stretch this part out. And you want to be kind of gentle with it, you know. I mean, you're not trying to rip the whole spine off. So that's basically how I get these to start coming out. Okay, and then they're also attached with fabric in the spine. So so now that I have the strings cut, you can see how the staples are still holding on to that fabric that's in there. It's like book tape. And so I'm going to actually just cut the fabric so I can get the whole book block out in one piece. I want to be careful not to cut through the back part of the spine, because I want that intact. So I'm just carefully kind of pulling and cutting that away. Okay, and then I'll do the same thing on the back. Back part is usually easier because you can just bend the whole book around, and then without as much risk to cutting through the spine. Okay, so now if you want to take these pages apart, so this whole book block is now just one piece, right? But you can see where the staples come all the way through. So not only do they stitch all the way through the pages, they also stapled the whole book block together. I mean, it's like really sturdy. So you'll have to, you know, use a pair of pliers or something and just pry up the staples, and then you can easily pull these signatures off. So I'm going to do that later. So I think what I might do, since I'm going to have a ton of book pages from these books, is put together some page packs from all these books. Some of them are not so thin, and I think I can actually just use these the way they are. These might wind up being a little bit thinner journals, but at least maybe 3 signatures in those. So anyway, I'm just super inspired right now and rearing to go. Anyway, so what I want to do is I want to make this spine about 1.5 inches. Okay. Right now, so you have to take into consideration this indentation here. I don't want to lose that. I want to keep that. I mean, if you don't want to extend the spine or widen the spine, you could just kind of bend this down right here and right here. You know what I mean? And then you would actually have maybe 1 inch of thickness. But I sort of want to retain that little indentation that's there. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, I'm going to lay the book cover face down, and then using an X-Acto, I'm just going to cut the back cover off right along the edge of the book board. Okay, so there we go. And then just kind of clean this up a little bit. So this part right here where that fabric is, I'm going to fold the spine back, and then I'm going to take my X-Acto, and then I'm just going to carefully trim that off. Always use a new blade when you're doing stuff like this, because honestly, like, I know you guys probably already know this, but a dull blade is way more dangerous than a sharp blade. So, most dangerous tool in the kitchen is a dull knife. Okay, so I've got that kind of cleaned up, and I'm just going to sort of, I want this to be relatively smooth here. So I'm just going to use a piece of sandpaper and just make that nice and smooth. I've had people ask me like what grit of sandpaper I use when I'm doing this, and I think this is 3250 or something. Anyway, it's pretty rough sandpaper. Like it's pretty rough. And then a lot of times what I do is I take, and I need to make some more of these, but you can use old nail files, just, you know, that you get, like if you have acrylic nails and stuff, and you know, you can use these old ones, and then just take some sandpaper and glue it around that, just like 2 sides, you know, and just use hot glue and glue it on there. Or you can also use like one of these oversized like popsicle sticks, or they sell them as like stirring sticks. So anyway, so just want to show that to you guys really quick, because people ask me a lot. But I was going to make a bunch of different side or different grits of sandpaper. Anyway, so I'm just trimming off the little strings that kind of hang off. Okay. So that's that. And this is all looking pretty good. So anything that's kind of sticking up, I'm going to actually glue down. Any of this loose, like from the fabric or the end paper. So I want to glue that down. I'm using the pH neutral PVA glue. that I put into one of these little bottles. This glue is pretty liquidy, so you can use it in these little tiny bottles. And I like it because it's flexible when it dries. It's totally flexible. I think she uses, in that video, she uses Fabri-Tac. So, you know, if you have Fabri-Tac, use Fabri-Tac. One of the reasons I don't like Fabri-Tac is because when you're gluing fabric, a lot of time, if you use too much of that glue, you can still see it through the fabric. So anyway, so I use this glue because it's great for books, and it's, you know, and it's flexible. Anyway, so I just glued down that little bit of fabric that's, you know, right there on the edge of this, of the spine on the inside. Okay. And then this part doesn't, I mean, the edge of that is going to get covered up, so it doesn't really matter. But I do want to glue down this part. And that's what's nice about having these little metal tip bottles, is that you can just squeeze glue into little tiny places, you know. Just kind of shove it in there, you know. Anyway, so thanks for buying my minis, you guys. Just so you know, in case anybody's wondering, I did make quite a few of them, so I did not expect that they would all sell out, and they have not. So in case anybody was wondering, there's still like a dozen or so of those in my Etsy shop of the monthly minis. So I don't know what that is. Something yucky, some sticky. Anyway, okay. So then I'm just going to grab some chipboard. Any kind of chipboard is going to work. Even like cereal box or something like that. These are pieces from, I don't remember, maybe from a drawing paper pad or something. I don't remember. Okay, so I want to measure the height of my book. So that's going to be almost 7.5. So I'm going to cut this to 7 3/8. Seven 3/8. Wait, maybe I should do it this way, because I have a lot of books that are kind of the same size, or at least a similar size, trying to conserve my chipboard. And then I want to make this spine 1.5 inches. So then I'll cut this to 1.5 inches. Excuse me. Okay. Now, like I said, I want to preserve that little indentation. So this is going to be my new spine. This one's not extending all that much, just a little bit. But so I want to line this chipboard up with that paper that's lining the inside. Basically, I want it to be, however wide that indentation is, I want it to be that far away from the book board, from this side. Okay, so maybe about 1/4 inch. And I think that lining it up with that paper there on the inside is a good guide, you know. Anyway, so then I'm just going to use the PVA glue. Sort of generously. I used to do this with hot glue when I was working on book spines, and I'd have to be really careful not to get it where the book bends. Otherwise, the book wouldn't bend anymore. Anyway, I don't use hot glue as much anymore. I don't really embellish covers that much anymore for some reason, but I'm thinking I sort of want to get back into doing that. Anyway, so I'm just gluing my chipboard strip on there, wiping off excess glue. So see, I still have, whoops, hold on. I'm going to scooch it out just a little bit. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so I'll still have a little bit of that indentation there. Yep. Okay. And then I want to create that indentation on the back of the journal. So what I've been doing, what I did with my first few of these that I just did, was I kind of just lay this down, make sure it's lined up top and bottom. You can use like a little, like a ruler or something, just to be sure that, you know, it's straight across the top and bottom. And then I'm just using, I have all of these little strips of craft paper from previous projects. And so I'm just using these little pieces of paper to kind of glue the spine to the back cover. Okay, so I'm just going to get one glued down, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do. I mean, just get one glued on, so that'll kind of hold everything in place. So I want to make sure I have glue under the whole piece. It's got to be straight. Okay. If you guys don't have one of these bone folders, these are made out of, what are these made out of? Oh, I can't remember what they're made out of. But they're so nice just because they're really, really versatile and super durable. They have them on Amazon. I can leave a link in the description, but one of the things I really like about them is that you can create this gap here, and I'll show you how I'm going to use that on the other side of the book. Anyway, they're just really handy. So I'm just using these little strips of this paper, just kind of building up. I mean, I could use just like a whole big strip, but I have a lot of short pieces, so I'm trying to use them. Plus, I think, I don't know, I'm kind of like layering them a little bit, and I feel like that's making it a little bit stronger. Just shy of the top. I don't want that paper sticking out the top. So yes, you could use just like one strip of paper. No big deal. But I want to use up these little scraps. And this, I mean, this paper is pretty strong, you know, and there's going to be 2 layers of it. So it's going to make it pretty durable. Okay. So once you have that glued on, then you can flip this over. Okay, so now you'll see I've got a gap right there. I guess it's slightly crooked, but try not to make yours crooked like I did. Anyway, oh, I was able to just kind of pull it out a little bit. Perfect. Okay, so then I'm going to do the same thing on the back. And I'm just gonna, so I'm trying to preserve this part of the original spine. So I really don't want this paper to go very far, but I do need it to, you know, it's helping to create strength in the spine, you know. Anyway, I just think it's more sturdy than just using fabric is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so this is where this bone folder comes in really handy, because I can push this paper down into that opening. Oops, I didn't get my glue up high enough. There, that's better. Push that up, push that down into that opening, and then I can use the bone folder to really stick this down. Okay, so I'm kind of like creating another indentation on the back of the cover. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to do. And I am putting glue in the space. Okay, because I want that. I want the paper that I'm putting on the back and on the inside to be glued together, because that'll kind of help maintain that space that I'm looking for. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, so see, I've still got that indentation, and then on the inside you can kind of work it. I mean, when the glue is wet, you can sort of work that down just a little bit, but mostly it's important to have it on the back. Okay, it doesn't matter so much on the inside. Okay, so then I could do some paper on this side too. Like say the spine was really, really thin, like I'm talking about the fabric of the spine. If it was like really thin and flimsy and fragile, then I would definitely add some of this paper over on this side. And here's another thing too that I wanted to mention. You could totally use like tape to do this. I've seen people use masking tape or bookbinding tape, you know, like this kind of tape. But I'm going to do some stitching on my sewing machine with these covers, so I don't want to use tape because it just doesn't work with the sewing machine. So that's why I'm using glue. But yeah, you could totally just use tape if you're only going to be using glue, or if you're not going to be using your sewing machine, because I want to do some stitching on these spines. So anyway, so that's basically what I'm doing with all of these book covers, you know. And then see, like this one, the fabric from the book cover was really thin, so I actually put the paper on both sides, you know. And then I just covered on the back part of on the back side of the book, I just covered that with a little piece of fabric, and I just glued it down. Honestly, I just glued it down using a glue stick, because I'm going to be stitching that on my sewing machine anyway. So, and I'm not relying on the fabric to provide strength so much. I mean, it is adding strength for sure, but mostly I'm relying on what I've done with the paper and the glue and the chipboard. And then, you know, the fabric is mostly just decorative. So see, this book is actually twice as thick now as it was. So anyway, I'm not going to go through the whole entire thing. Whoops, sorry about my phone ringing. I'm not going to go through, you know, the whole entire thing. Maybe I will in another video. I want to work on these a little bit more. Just a minute, Alex. I'm going to work on some more of these and pull out fabrics and stuff like that, and then kind of show you, okay, just a minute. And then I'll show you guys how I'm going to move forward. I have some decisions to make. But anyway, so that's basically how I'm going to extend or widen the spines on all of these thin, cool old vintage books that I want to make into nice, fat, chunky journals. So anyway, sorry about the phone, guys. Okay, that's it. I love you. Okay, bye for now. Gotta call Alex. Okay, bye.